you've got a major week. You've got major economic data on housing, but most importantly, the highest valued companies, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, reporting earnings. How big of a test is this? What do you want to do as an investor?
Yeah, I'm still concerned about inflation because in this sort of environment where you're going to have massive rate hikes and really uncertainty as to the macro picture going forward, how can you have high multiple stocks unless they absolutely blow the doors off earnings and give you some sort of ridiculous guidance going forward? So, Mike, I'm interested. Do you think we've hit peak inflation, or do you think that's a month out, 6 months out, or where do you think we stand there? Because if inflation's still accelerating, how can you have companies trading at 25, 35, 40 times forward earnings?
Action from the left and from Twitter users has been really rich, given the fact that there's been no comment about Jeff Bezos or Warren Buffett or George Soros owning so many assets. And yet, when it comes to the libertarian who might lean conservative, Elon Musk, Michael, well, that's a problem.
Yeah, look, the left and the establishment of this country has to control the narrative because so much of what they say is jumping the shark on a daily basis. And a lot of the narrative that is pushed on our throats is just completely tethered from reality. So if you take that aspect out of it, this makes perfect sense from a business standpoint. If this deal doesn't go through, Tesla stock is headed, I'm sorry, not Tesla, Twitter stock is headed to the 30s, if not the 20s. This company has never really been monetized. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Jack Dorsey started Square a couple years before Twitter went public, and that was a very successful venture from him. And when you're running two companies like that, the way he was kind of in their growth phases, it's really hard to manage two at once. How Elon would do this? Well, first of all, bring back free speech, bring back a fresh set of ideas as to how to run this company. I think Elon's proven that he can run several successful ventures simultaneously, one of the few people in the world that could do that. And then also, look, you're a board. You can't accept the first offer. You want to get more money. I said last week on the show that I thought this deal would get done. I thought it would get done in the high 60s because I think Twitter wanted 75, and Elon came at 55. Maybe it gets done in the low 60s, but this is going to happen. Elon has the money. He's more liquid now than he ever has been in his entire life based on his stock sales from last year. I think he's sitting on more liquid cash than any other individual in the world. And it's small margin loans, small amount of financing against the operations of Twitter. And this deal actually gets done. And to reorganize a company like this, the best way to do it is as a private company, not a public company. So from a business standpoint, this makes perfect sense. And then this is good news for free speech and the public square. And I think these passion projects is what has made Elon rich. So PayPal was to revolutionize payments. Tesla was to revolutionize electric cars. SpaceX is to revolutionize space travel. So now we'll revolutionize the public square.
Hey, you make really great points, Michael, but real quick, is it worth $50 billion?
Yeah, well, look, when you have this big of a user base, okay, you can turn these social media companies into ATM machines. I mean, look at how much money Facebook has made over the years. Obviously, the stock's down from its highs based on the iOS platform changes, but you can make a lot of money with this many users.
All right. Great points all around. Let's take a short break. We're going to continue this conversation. Let us know what you think. Send me a tweet. Is it worth $50 billion? We'll be... And it is time for the Word on Wall Street. Top investors watching your money. Joining me right now is Michael Lee, strategy founder Michael Lee, and Morgan Stanley Wealth Management Senior Vice President of Investments, Jim LeCamp. Gentlemen, good to see you this Monday morning. Thank you so much for being here. And man, is it a busy one, Mike. We got a sell-off underway for stock prices. We are kicking off the biggest week for first quarter earnings yet, with big tech on the deck. We're going to hear from Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon. What are you expecting on the earnings front?
Yeah, look, it feels like this week you're just ready to step on a landmine based on the trading of last week, and it's how much lower can the NASDAQ go? And you have a couple of high flyers high multiple, super important stocks in Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft reporting this week, all trillion or multi-trillion dollar companies. What we're hoping to see from Microsoft is continued revenue growth, continued growth to the cloud. Hopefully a really good earnings number from them could propel the markets or stop the bleeding. I mean, if we get a miss from Amazon like we did last quarter, I'm really looking more into that number, not so much in the earnings, but what they have to say about the health of the consumer, overall spending. And then you look at Apple. What's going on in China? Global chip supply shortages, plus kind of somewhat waning demand of iPhones. Is this going to hamper that stock? So if we have bad numbers or the market isn't impressed with that, it's going to be really ugly across the board, because those are in every major mutual fund, every major ETF that most people own, and a lot of people own them in their portfolios. So I'm hoping that these numbers from these companies can come out, kind of stem the tide, give us some good guidance that things aren't as bad as they're seeming, and that this sell-off is a little bit overdone. However, if we do get rallies in any of these names, I would be a seller on strength of a lot of these names, simply because this inflation is the overriding theme for the market. Until that slows down or we stem the tide of inflation and it starts decelerating, we have no idea how high interest rates are going to go and how aggressive the Fed is going to be. The higher interest rates go, the more aggressive the Fed has to be. You just get widespread multiple contractions. So earnings can be growing, companies can be doing well, but if we're tightening liquidity and tightening financial conditions, multiples of all stocks are going to come in and makes it very difficult to be an investor. So I'm hoping to get some very good news out of these major tech companies so I can lighten up on my tech positions until we get some better information on the inflation front.
Yeah, and I feel like last week was an opportunity echo chamber, and Musk tweeted out a couple of weeks ago that the board doesn't even own much stock aside from Jack Dorsey. They don't have the same, in step with the shareholders, the same priorities, because they don't have as much stock. So somebody's got to take notice of this huge premium that Elon Musk is about to put on the table.
Yeah, well, the other thing that Elon pointed out is no one on the board actually tweets, right? And so you have a board that owns nothing, does not engage with the platform, and if this deal falls through, the stock is going in the 20s. And so we'll get some earnings numbers on this week, but it's almost secondary to what's going on here. Again, Elon's here because he thinks this is the public square. This is a passion investment, not because it has the highest rate of return. I have no doubt that he'll make money, but now that the board sees that the funding is actually secured, it's real, and he's going to go to a tender offer. They're in the last minute negotiations to try to get the best price for their shareholders to shield them from liability one way or another, but he's really put the screws to them.
Yeah, my question would be, the Democrats like this echo chamber. Will the Democrats come to the rescue of the Twitter echo chamber and investigate Elon Musk more, try to stop this deal, raise antitrust issues? Who knows? But that's something I'm watching. We'll take a break. When we come back, we've got former CEO